I didn't know if I could hear anything new on Aaron Hernandez, and then Rolling Stone came out with an article this week. "The Gangster in the Huddle" is the title. Paul Solotaroff is the writer who did the story with the help of Ron Borges. But Rolling Stone with Aaron Hernandez, and we found out some different things about Aaron Hernandez, and Paul joins us now. What would you say is the big headline out of this, Paul, that you found out?
Well, I think we've got a motive, and the motive is also the means of the murder. And the motive and means are something called angel dust. According to a number of people I dug up in Bristol, Connecticut, Aaron and his crew, it's a pretty loose cohort of thugs and goons, a patchwork of gangsters from Bristol and Boston. We're heavily into PCP, a drug I haven't heard anybody using in these many decades now.
This is angel dust, right?
This is angel dust.
Yeah.
It's stuff you sprinkle on a joint. Used to be done with embalming fluid. God knows what they're using for PCP these days.
Right.
But, it's still the drug of choice in Bristol, Connecticut.
Was he using it during the season when he was playing?
It seems fairly clear to just about everybody that he'd been using it almost nonstop since last summer. And explains a lot. It explains the incident outside Club Cure last July when he and at least two of the guys from Bristol, two of his posse from Bristol, got into his silver 4Runner. Again, this is all alleged, but boy, it sure looks bad given the evidence. Opened fire on a BMW full of Cape Verdean kids that they bumped noses with at the club and killed the two in the front seat. The other three got away, and that silver 4Runner went missing, vanished off the face of the earth until, lo and behold, it shows up in Aaron Hernandez's uncle's garage where it hadn't been driven in a year.
What did the Patriots know about his lifestyle?
Well, they certainly would have known a hell of a lot more if they hadn't canned the guy who used to do their security. They had this very smart guy, an ex-state trooper, who coordinated Patriots team security in conjunction with the league office in New York. And that guy, a gentleman named Mendes, Frank Mendes, had contacts all over the tri-state area. So if a guy like Hernandez showed up dirty at a strip joint in Rhode Island or, was at a smoke shop in Averill, Mass., he got a call within 20 minutes, whether those troopers were on team payroll or not. They got rid of that guy for some high-tech British guy who ran stadium security at a soccer arena in Britain, who had no street contacts and scorned the help of Boston police and Massachusetts state troopers, and so got nothing, no information on the Patriots.
But how did he get a contract extension here, Paul? I mean, the Patriots were all in with Hernandez.
Yeah, well, I think that question should be directed to Mr. Belichick, who not only, preempted his rookie deal by 2 years. They didn't have to re-up him. They could have let him play the string out another couple of years. They had him on a really advantageous, at least, from the team's point of view, deal. Tore it up with 2 years to go to give him $40 million. Same with Gronk. They re-upped him 2 years before they had to and wound up giving Wes Welker nothing, which made Tom Brady very unhappy.
But did he have, he had this crash apartment in Boston, and now I think, did Belichick recommend that he got an apartment away from his house in the suburbs?
Yes.
To get away from his boys?
According to my sources, Belichick was informed of the direness of Hernandez's situation as far back as, I believe, the spring. It was certainly the NFL Combine, when Hernandez shows up and confides in Belichick that his life is in danger. that he's trying to break away from some people who literally mean to kill him. And Belichick says, all right, well, here's what you do. You go back north, you rent yourself a quiet place away from North Attleboro where you live, away from the team complex, and you keep a low profile. And there's some evidence that he did that, although it's not clear from the neighbors that he ever actually stayed there. He did spend time there. But what he seems to have done instead was arm himself to the teeth, riding around with a shotgun, with other guys who were heavily armed, and equipping his home with this 14-camera security system just weeks before the Odin Lloyd murder.
Paul Solotaroff is the author. The article is Gangster in the Huddle, Rolling Stone magazine. Joining us, Dan Patrick Show. What did you learn about the night of the murder with Aaron Hernandez?
Well, the night of the murder is still very murky. There's all of the circumstantial stuff. Security cameras have been picking up Lloyd at exactly, I believe, 2:33, and entering the industrial lot a mile from Hernandez's home at about 3:23, so about 50 minutes later. What they don't depict is what happens when at least three of the guys in the car get out. Lloyd, Hernandez, and reportedly Aaron Wallace, one of the two goons that Hernandez hastily summoned up from Bristol that night with some very tersely worded emails, not emails, IMs. And, the motive, as best I could determine, was this really petty incident 2 nights earlier when Odin Lloyd sees a couple of his cousins from the West Indies, guys with dreads, pretty tough, hard-looking street dudes, goes down from VIP. They were at a club called Rumor. Hugs them up, buys them drinks, and one of the two cousins begins pointing at Hernandez and mean mugging him and saying words to the fact that I don't like that so and so. He's shady. He's funny. I don't trust him. I don't want you running with him. Mm. And Lloyd says, whoa, that's my man up there. Stop pointing. You're going to start something between me and him. Cousin continues to point and mean mug Hernandez and the crew up in VIP, at which point Lloyd hustles them over to the bar, gets them a couple of drinks, then goes up to try and make amends to Hernandez, and Hernandez and he have a big screaming match in VIP that continues outside. But, that's 48 hours in full before the shooting. And in the meantime, Hernandez had lent Lloyd the keys to his big black Suburban to go party with all weekend. So what seems to have happened is Hernandez seized all weekend in his mansion over this perceived affront and somehow conflated it into an attempt by Lloyd to set him up. Hernandez was absolutely paranoid to the point, I hear, of delusional those last several months.
We appreciate you joining us. There's a lot in there. Also, what happened in Florida with Urban Meyer, covered up drug test, or at least allegedly covered up drug test there as well. Good luck with the fallout from it, Paul. We appreciate you joining us again.
Thank you, Dan. Always a pleasure.
All right, Paul Solotaroff, Rolling Stone magazine, Gangster in the Huddle. I had a problem with one thing, and that is where Paul reports that Urban Meyer may have helped cover up failed drug test. May have is tough because, once again, people don't see the may have. They just see that he covered up drug test. There have been those reports out there that Urban Meyer looked the other way with drug tests. I think what's disturbing is you got Bill Belichick, who's got a player who's fearing for his life. And at some point, did anybody follow him with the Patriots? If you got that money invested in Aaron Hernandez, you just signed him up. He's your future. And is he armed? How armed is he? Is he on drugs? You should be able to tell that. And if you have any thought about your guy who could be running from people or protecting himself, I would think he'd have somebody following him from the Patriots.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.